They vanish like frost on a window when the sun grows too warm, leaving nothing but the ghost of their presence, and a heart that wonders whether anything was real. The avoidant person stands at the edge of love like someone afraid of thin ice, knowing that one step forward could either hold their weight or plunge them into depths they've spent their life trying to avoid. Their trauma has built them an ice castle so beautiful, so impenetrable, that they've even forgotten there's a living, breathing person trapped inside. They reject the warmth they crave, creating an eternal winter in every relationship they touch. The cruel irony cuts deeper than any blizzard. The more someone loves them, the more dangerous that person becomes to their carefully constructed emotional permafrost. Yet here's the truth: they cannot freeze forever. They always come back. The contradiction of the frozen heart. The avoidant person carries within them a heart divided in two, like a glacier cracking under its own immense weight. One half yearns for connection with the desperate hunger of someone who has been emotionally starving for decades, while the other half recoils from intimacy like flesh touching burning ice. This internal war creates a person who simultaneously reaches toward love and retreats from it, often in the same breath, the same moment, the same heartbeat. Their trauma has taught them that vulnerability equals annihilation. Every past wound has whispered the same cruel lie, that opening up leads to abandonment, that showing your true self guarantees rejection, that love is just another word for eventual betrayal. So they've learned to build walls of permafrost around their emotions, creating a fortress so cold that they can't even always feel what lies buried beneath the ice. Watch them carefully, and you'll see the contradiction unfold like an endless blizzard. They invite you closer with words that sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, then slam the door when you actually step forward. They share pieces of themselves like rare snowflakes, beautiful, unique, but gone as soon as you try to hold them. The warmth of genuine connection terrifies them more than a lifetime of solitude ever could. When winter meets warmth, the moment someone shows genuine interest in the avoidant person, their internal weather system goes haywire like a blizzard meeting a heat wave. The very warmth they craved in the depths of their frozen heart becomes the most terrifying force they can imagine. They've lived in an emotional winter so long that the first touch of spring feels like a threat to their entire survival ecosystem. When warmth approaches, the avoidant begins their familiar dance of advance and retreat. They draw near like someone testing thin ice, taking hesitant steps toward connection before rushing back to the safety of their frozen shores. This isn't manipulation or games. It's the raw, instinctive response of someone whose trauma has taught them that thawing means death, that melting means losing control of everything they've worked so hard to contain. The warmth you offer doesn't just promise comfort. It threatens to melt years of carefully constructed emotional barriers. Behind those walls lie decades of pain, disappointment, and terror that they've kept frozen in time rather than processing them. The eternal winter within the avoidance interior landscape resembles a kingdom trapped under an eternal winter spell, where every emotion has been buried beneath layers of protective ice so thick that they've even forgotten what warmth feels like. Their psychological terrain stretches like a frozen desert, beautiful in its austere emptiness, but incapable of sustaining the kind of life their soul desperately craves. They've become the ruler of their own emotional tundra, sovereign of a realm where nothing grows, nothing changes, and nothing can hurt them because nothing can reach them. In this frozen kingdom, their thoughts move like Arctic winds, sharp, cutting, and relentlessly cold. Every memory of past pain has been crystallized into ice sculptures that never melt, never fade, and never stop reminding them why love is dangerous. Their trauma has appointed itself as guardian of the eternal winter, ensuring that no spring can break through the permafrost of their defenses, breaking the curse of loneliness. The avoidance journey toward healing begins with a realization that arrives like the first crack in a frozen lake. small at first, but expanding until their entire worldview begins to wobble beneath them. They start to understand that their emotional winter isn't the sanctuary they believed it to be, but a beautiful prison where they're slowly suffocating on recycled air. Escaping into freedom requires them to do the most terrifying thing their trauma can imagine. Stay present when every fiber of their being screams at them to run. They must learn to tolerate the burning sensation of circulation returning to an emotionally frostbitten heart. This process cannot be rushed any more than you can force winter to become spring overnight. It requires the kind of patience that seasons show frozen earth, the gentle persistence of sun on snow. Their greatest revelation is that love doesn't demand perfection. It only demands presence. They don't need to be completely thawed before they deserve warmth. The very relationship that triggers their freeze response becomes the laboratory where they practice staying warm. Love thaws, but ice remembers. The avoidant always comes back because certain forces in the universe are stronger than trauma's winter curse. And love is the most persistent of those forces. No matter how far they flee to their emotional Arctic, how many ice walls they build, or how completely they convince themselves that solitude is superior to connection, their soul carries a compass that points toward warmth. They return not because they've conquered their fears, but because something deeper than trauma recognizes that spring is their birthright, not their enemy. Their return happens like ice breaking on a river after a long winter, not smoothly, but with thunderous cracks that shake their entire emotional landscape. All the feelings they've kept frozen in suspended animation suddenly surge forth all at once, overwhelming the dam of their defenses. They return with the desperate hunger of someone starving in an emotional famine, finally unable to deny their need for nourishment. The pattern repeats like an emotional seasonal cycle that operates outside their conscious control. They gradually warm up, allowing themselves to hope again, to feel again, to believe that perhaps their winter doesn't have to be eternal. But their trauma lurks in the background like a meteorological memory, keeping detailed records of every time warmth led to devastation. The avoidant begins to understand that breaking the curse isn't about eliminating winter from their emotional landscape. It's about becoming the conscious author of their own seasons. They discover that true freedom isn't the absence of emotional winter. It's knowing they have power over which season reigns in their heart, and that spring is always possible, even in the depths of their coldest moments.